Yes. I am switching up the script so it's a little bit different at the top of the 4:30. I'm doing a mic check. I am also checking other scripts. Sorry, I'm just talking what I'm saying here.
So sorry. Oh my God. I'm so late, so late, so late. 336-691-5097. Okay. Okay. Let me fix this. Okay, you can hear me, you can see me. So sorry I'm late.
Good afternoon. We begin your 4 to 5 with some breaking news. Thanks to a Superior Court judge's ruling, bowling alleys in North Carolina can reopen effective immediately. The alleys must follow 15 guidelines, including limiting the number of people, mandatory masks for guests, and empty lanes between bowling groups. Governor Roy Cooper filed a motion to keep them from reopening until an appeal can be heard, but until that stay takes effect, they can reopen. WFMY News 2 is checking in with local bowling alleys. We'll have more on their status coming up. In the meantime, Governor Roy Cooper's office responded to the court ruling, saying hospitalizations and positive cases are reaching record highs while the governor works to get schools open and prevent the state from going backward on restrictions. The governor will appeal immediately this ruling that harms both of these efforts.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here on the Fortified this afternoon. I'm Maddie Gardner here with Eric Chilton, Tahitian Voice, and Christian Morgan, who will give us that forecast in just a few moments. This is an interactive news show where we like you to talk to us. So use our hashtag Fortify, and you can join us on our Facebook page or our YouTube channel. But first, let's get you up to speed with your 4 to 5 roundup. Amazon is hiring 1,000 people to work full-time at its new fulfillment center in Kernersville. Employees will pack and ship items across the region. The center has already hired 5,000 people for the Kernersville site. Pay starts at $15 an hour with benefits. For more information about those job openings in North Carolina, you can text PIT NOW to 77088. A drug maker just got a big boost from the federal government. Novavax received $1.6 billion to speed up the creation of 100 million doses of a COVID-19 vaccine by the beginning of next year. The deal is the biggest one made by Operation Warp Speed, a White House program intended to make vaccines and treatments available quickly to Americans. The Maryland-based company Novavax has never brought a product to market. Coronavirus cases in Florida have skyrocketed over the past few weeks. As a result, Miami-Dade County is once again shutting down indoor dining, gyms, and other venues.
Healthy individuals and small businesses, we also have to live our lives and we have to pay our bills to feed our families.
Beaches that were closed for the holiday weekend reopened today, but the mayor says if there is crowding, he will close them once again. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says the United States is considering a ban on Chinese social media apps, including the popular app TikTok. Pompeo says people should only download TikTok if they want their private information in the hands of the Chinese Communist Party. Now, TikTok responded saying it's led by an American CEO and hundreds of employees are based here in the U.S. The company says their highest priority is keeping the app safe for users. TikTok also claims its data centers are located outside of China and not subject to Chinese law. And former President Jimmy Carter and former First Lady Rosalind Carter are celebrating their 74th wedding anniversary today. That amounts to 27,030 days of marriage. Jimmy Carter was 21 and Rosalind was 18 when they got married back in 1946. She famously denied his first proposal, saying she promised her father on his deathbed that she would finish college and not marry until then. They keep their title as the longest married presidential couple. They say their secret to a long marriage is to give each other space and to never go to bed angry.
I'll tell you what, guys, it has been a dry day for the most part, but our friends just to the south of Greensboro starting to get some light rain, really pushing in with that upper level low pressure system. And really the southeastern part of North Carolina has got a pretty good soaking of rain this afternoon. You can see where that rain is now. Really, Asheboro and points south and east of that have seen some light to steady rain, and it doesn't even look like that band of rain is going to make it much farther north than that. So we'll just watch for some scattered storms as we go throughout the rest of the evening hours. This area of low pressure continues to track up to the northeast along the Carolina coast. That will yet again for your Wednesday give us another chance of those scattered rain showers and scattered storms. And on the temperature map, you can see where it has been raining this afternoon. It's in the 70s in Asheboro and Lexington, and in the 80s in Greensboro, Winston-Salem, and Burlington. Tonight, we're going to watch for some more of those scattered showers and storms. Near 70 for the overnight low, 84 scattered showers and storms for your Wednesday as well.
A teenager died after a shooting in Greensboro last night. Police say Sincere Graves died earlier today after someone shot him on West Barton Street. A 15-year-old boy was also shot, but his injuries are not life-threatening. Just moments ago, the Greensboro police chief commented on the several recent shootings in the city.
And I, as the police chief, ask you as the community to hold us accountable. As I ask you to hold us accountable, I ask that we as a community hold each other accountable.
Chief Brian James says in the first 7 days of this month, there have been 7 homicides and they all involved guns. We'll have more on these shootings coming up on WFMY News 2 at 5 o'clock.
In Winston-Salem, law enforcement officers canvassed an area searching for more information in the case of Ella Crawley. Now, Crawley was found hurt after walking on a path near Gateway Commons Park back in May. The 50-year-old died the next day. The medical examiner later determined her cause of death was blunt force trauma and strangulation. Authorities say some of Crawley's clothes were missing when she was found. Investigators are working to determine if she was sexually assaulted.
This case is very unique. One, the time of the morning, there's not a lot of people moving around. It's very early in the morning. Miss Crawley, unfortunately, was displaced at the moment, so a lot of people didn't have a clear track of where she had may been the night prior and that morning.
Crawley was a member of the homeless community. She was frequently seen in the area where she was found. Many people are only spending their money at Black-owned businesses today. It's part of an initiative called Blackout Day. Jackie White owns African American Art and More in the Four Seasons Town Center Mall and says some of her customers told her they were choosing to only shop at Black-owned stores like hers. She says more importantly than that is not spending any money anywhere else.
For Black people to take their dollars away from this economy, that will make a huge impact to let people know, hey, these people, their money is very impactful to moving this country forward.
The ratings company Nielsen reports that Black consumers account for $3.5 billion of buying power per day. And we do have a list of Black-owned businesses in the Triad if you'd like to stop by. All you have to do is head over to our website. That's WFMYnews2.com.
Looks like another statue is now being relocated, this time in Salisbury, North Carolina. The Confederate statue has been in the downtown area there for 111 years. The statue is known as Fame. It was removed from its base late last night and into the morning. That process took that long. The statue belongs to the United Daughters of the Confederacy, or the UDC. At this time, the city of Salisbury and the UDC have decided to place the statue in a historic cemetery alongside Confederate tombstones. That is in another part of the city.
And many of you had something to say about the removal of that statue in Salisbury. Judy Buck said, leave our history alone and everything else, just stop destroying things. Robin Sigariz said, just absolutely folding because of political pressure and popularity. Jennifer McMahon said, this is going too far. Linda Westcott asks, when will this end? And Dallas McGee says, yes, take it down. I love it. New history in the making. Finally, Gail Coleman said, what about a rededication to those who were innocent and killed, forced to fight, families left behind to starve, slaves used as target practice, the poor wrongly guided souls that thought they were doing the right thing.
And before we go to break, the first African-American woman elected to Greensboro City Council has died. Dr. Katie Dorsett served 2 terms on the council from 1983 to 1986. She was also a member of the North Carolina General Assembly. She served the 28th Senate District from 2003 to 2010. Now, born in Shaw, Mississippi, she finished her doctorate degree at UNCG in 1975. That's according to the City of Greensboro's Facebook page. And then in 1992, she was appointed Secretary of the Department of Administration by North Carolina Governor Jim Hunt. That appointment made her the first Black woman to hold a North Carolina cabinet post. Dorsett was 87 years old. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to your 4 to 5. If you need a coronavirus test, Cone Health will be testing people at Mount Zion Baptist Church in Greensboro tomorrow. There is drive-through testing happening from 11 until 2 at the church on Alamance Church Road. The Guilford County Health Department is also doing coronavirus testing. It's happening at the Craft Community Recreation Center on Yanceyville Street in Greensboro. That's this Friday from 10 until 2. Anyone who needs a test needs to call and schedule an appointment with the health department, but testing is free.
The Guilford County courthouses in both Greensboro and High Point are now doing temperature checks. The county taking those precautions as a way to limit the spread of coronavirus. Those courthouses had to shut down for 2 weeks in June after several staff members tested positive for the virus. The employees went into isolation and health officials went through contact tracing steps to limit exposure. Sanitation crews were also brought in to deep clean the buildings.
And some big names in retail are now asking governors across the nation to make everyone wear a face mask inside of businesses. The Retail Industry Leaders Association is speaking on behalf of Target, Home Depot, and some other chains. They say shoppers are unsure what to do because some states have a mask rule and others don't. Lenient mask rules have led to issues between customers and employees who are just trying to enforce those regulations. The association wrote a letter to the National Governors Association on Monday asking for a nationwide face mask mandate. Tell us what you think about this. Use our hashtag 4 to 5. You can comment on our live stream. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We'll be right back.
House. That's a place where families can stay while their children receive medical care. Well, there's a place in Winston-Salem that does the same thing, but for adults. So adults can stay there while a relative, which is an adult, is also receiving medical care. It's great support for families. It's called the SECU Family House. I spoke with their executive director, Kathy Carr, today. Take a look.
Kathy, I appreciate you taking time out today. You know, I'm embarrassed to say that I just found out about you guys recently, and I think it's so cool. Explain what you do there.
Well, I appreciate that, Eric, and we hear that a lot. We are an adult hospital hospitality house, so much like your Ronald McDonald House, we provide affordable and safe lodging for adult patients and or their caregivers who have to travel to the Forsyth County medical community for their care. So they might be an outpatient receiving treatment, or they might be an admitted patient in the ICU and they have a spouse or an adult child who's their caregiver coming to stay with them.
You know, that just sounds like it's such a needed service, and people, you know, the person in the hospital is getting excellent care in our medical system, but the families really need to be taken care of as well. What type of comments do you get from the families after they've stayed there?
When we started, we've been open since September of 2011 and have served over 45,000 patients and caregivers since that time from all different places, but they all appreciated so much that the Winston community had this hospitality, and we're glad that we can provide such a needed service, which doesn't go away during a pandemic.
Well, I think what you guys are doing is phenomenal. I love bringing good news around. Thanks, Kathy, for being with us today, and best of luck there.
Great stuff they're doing there. They actually, you know, due to COVID, they're doing things a little bit differently, but their occupancy levels are a little bit low. They could use that help. So if you know of anybody who needs to bring in relatives from, even if you're, and they said a lot of this is from the Northwest Piedmont, Maddie, that's where you and I are from, where people come in to the Greensboro and Winston-Salem area and they need to stay somewhere while loved ones in the hospital. So you can do that. You don't have to be from out of state or from real far away.
Jilton, like you, I didn't know this organization existed and this program existed, and I think it's absolutely necessary. Caregivers and family members of these patients are often overlooked, but they have so many needs as well. There's not too many support groups for family members and caretakers out there, so what they're doing is really important. So I'm glad you highlighted that today.
Yeah, and let me make sure everybody understands that there is a fee, but it's ridiculously small compared to what you'd stay in a hotel, so just about anybody could afford it. You should check them out.
Sounds good. All right, we are heading to break, but we are live throughout the break on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube. If it's social media, we're on there. Use our hashtag 4 to 5, and we'll be chatting with you. We'll be right back. Welcome back to your 4 to 5. The Trump administration revealed new fall semester guidelines for foreign students. So if students have to stay in the United States, they have to take in-person classes. Those rules are raising some concern as schools look at online courses only for the fall semester. The State Department will not issue visas to students who are only going to schools that offer remote learning. Students will have to transfer to a school that is doing in-person classes to stay in the country. If a student leaves the United States, they can continue online learning from their home country.
In the meantime, Harvard University says that they will allow up to 40% of its student body back on campus for the fall, but only first-year students will be allowed back on campus because they have courses that cannot be taught online. However, all students have to pay the same price for tuition. School tuition will stay at more than $49,000 a year, no matter if the student is on campus or not. Harvard has not commented on their decision. So I wanted to get your thoughts on this story. Colleges charging full price for tuition, whether or not you're actually taking classes in person or online. Let's get into some of the comments on what you had to say on Facebook today. Rosemary writes here, colleges and universities still have to pay faculty, custodial staff, upkeep on their physical plant, and more. While I could see some fees being eliminated, such as parking, how do they pay the bills otherwise? Adrian says, if they get any public funds, this would be a great place for the government to step in. That said, most won't mind as the brand is more important to them. Cheryl writes, that's insane to me. Like, seriously. And Aaron Kyle says, as a student, I understand that seems frustrating, but as a teacher, I understand. Tuition covers the class and teachers. If the teacher is still teaching the same amount and providing the same instruction via video classes and the same tests and the same information, then I think it's fair. But I do understand that as students, we feel that if we are missing the in-person connections, it should cost less. Guys, Aaron wrote more on that comment, kind of saying that, you know, sometimes the room and board may not be included, but $49,000 just seems like a lot of money to begin with. And I know Harvard has a big endowment as well, multiple millions, almost $1 billion in their endowment. So they may be able to afford it, but it doesn't look like that's the case of what they're choosing to do in the fall.
Well, I think I need to see what tuition includes, because if it includes on-campus amenities like the rec center or, you know, just things that students would be doing on campus other than going to class, it really isn't fair. Plus, I've taken online classes, I've taken in-person classes, and I get so much more out of an in-person connection with classmates and teachers. I think that is more valuable than online courses in this case. But several universities have a big decision to make when it comes to that. We know of a few students here in North Carolina who are suing their universities for last semester because their semester was cut short due to the pandemic and they didn't get to use those student amenities on campus. It looks like we lost Chilton's audio there, so let's check in with Christian Morgan.
Hey guys, let's take a look at that forecast. For the most part, Greensboro and the Triad are dry, but take a look down to the south and you can see where our upper level low is spinning. There's lots of rain to our south and to our east. And even a little closer, you can see the southern portions of the Piedmont are getting some of that rain, which is very much needed for gardens and yards. But the northern portion of the Piedmont, and especially the Triad, not really getting any of that. Just some scattered storms out to our north and to our west, and that will really be the story as we go through the rest of the evening and the nighttime hours. This upper level low will continue to track to the northeast over the next couple of days, and as it does, we'll keep getting those chances for scattered showers and storms. Heading into the end of the week, though, as it starts to pull away from us, we will see that rain chance go down and our temperatures end up going back up. We're in the upper 70s now, dropping down into the lower 70s as we head through the nighttime hours. It's still going to be muggy. For your Wednesday, a day much like today with mostly cloudy skies, we'll be in the mid 80s and, of course, watching for some of those afternoon showers and storms. 4 to 5, we'll be right back.
Hey, ice cold milk and an Oreo cookie, they forever go together.
Good afternoon and welcome back to your 4 to 5. I'm Maddie Gardner with Dehatia Moise and Christian Morgan this afternoon. Of course, this is an interactive news show. We like to connect with you and talk to you during the commercial breaks. Use our hashtag 4 to 5 and join us live here on television, on Facebook, YouTube, or on Twitter. Well, this afternoon we are staying on top of a developing story. Bowling alleys can now open in our state effective immediately. A Superior Court judge made that decision this afternoon. There are some guidelines they'll have to follow, like limiting the number of people allowed inside, mask wearing, and keeping an empty lane between bowling groups. Governor Roy Cooper filed a motion to stop them from reopening until an appeal can be heard. His office responded to the judge's ruling, saying hospitalizations and positive cases are reaching record highs while the governor works to get schools open and prevent the state from going backward on restrictions. The governor will immediately appeal this ruling that both harms these efforts, but until a stay is granted, those bowling alleys can reopen. Let's get you now to your 4 to 5 roundup. According to Breonna Taylor's family's lawyers, the police warrant that led up to Taylor's death was possibly linked to a gentrification plan in Louisville. Lawyers say a city wanted to develop the area into an expensive real estate district. Elliott Avenue, where Taylor was killed, is reported to be part of that project. That's according to attorneys. A lawsuit says the city purchased a mass amount of new property on that street over the year and scheduled demolition projects. The lawsuit goes on to say the warrant targeted Taylor's ex-boyfriend and other areas where authorities suspected drug rings in an effort to remove those individuals before demolition began. Breonna Taylor was shot by police who went inside her residence looking for illegal drugs. The Louisville mayor denies these accusations. The U.S. records more than 300,000 new coronavirus cases this month alone. Now, health officials are preparing to see a surge in coronavirus testing after the 4th of July weekend, when many went to crowded beaches without face coverings. A rise in testing demand is now causing results for those tests to come back slower than usual. Companies like Quest Diagnostics and LabCorp in Burlington say expect to wait 1 to 2 days longer for your test results. By the way, Dr. Anthony Fauci says we're still in the first wave of this virus.
We are still knee-deep in the first wave of this. We went up, never came down to baseline, and now is surging back up.
She says it is now possible the virus has mutated and can spread more easily than before.
A task force of physicians have created a coronavirus activity scale. This scale offers some guidance into which things that you do outside your house are considered high risk. Now, this was made by the Texas Medical Association. The activities are ranked on a scale from 1 to 9, and doctors say it is a needed scale as people are trying to get back to their lives.
So I do think that the public has needed and frankly deserves a little bit more directed guidance. And we've done our best as we gain new understanding, as we get clarity on the transmission of this virus, its activity and its interaction with us in the community and how we live our lives.
Going to stadium events, mega churches, or bars are ranked as high risk, and opening mail is something that's ranked as the lowest risk. So 1 is low, 9 is high, Maddie, and I'm looking at the list right now. And number 9, all the way at the bottom, going to a bar.
Yeah, and we've talked about that before, Tahisha, just the fact that obviously you can't wear a mask if you're drinking a beverage, and alcohol can lower your inhibitions and your train of thought. You might not think to use those precautions like staying 6 feet away from someone or using a face covering. So bars, of course, still closed in North Carolina. Several places that are listed on that high risk category still closed in our state as well. And I believe that even when they reopen, some people will be more cautious when they go back to these places, knowing that it's easily transferred there.
Well, and we talked about it in the show too. Some of those high risk places that have opened in other states are now shutting down again, specifically in Miami with the shutdown of bars there and even indoor dining at restaurants, Maddie.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen that chart floating around social media even before the July 4th weekend, and I'm glad that it's being shared so people can educate themselves on what scientists are saying and look at the data in this situation.
Yep, if you have a question, just pull it up and look at the ranking. All right, let's talk about pools and lifeguarding, because those are two things you'll probably see a lot of this summer if you're trying to beat the heat. And you know, lifeguards have had to make adjustments because of COVID-19. Now, while their training is mostly the same, Colton Marble with the City of High Point's Parks and Rec Department says there's a lot of emphasis on making sure someone with COVID-19 is not around the pool. Now, based on guidance from organizations like the CDC and the Red Cross, many open pools have implemented things like temperature checks, social distancing for guests, daily health screenings for employees, and more cleaning and sanitizing of the pool area.
I think a lot of the stuff that we're doing is on the front end. Those precautions that we're following from all these organizations provide a safer environment while you're at the pool, so the lifeguards can focus on what they need to do.
Lifeguards are also no longer sharing equipment. In High Point, lifeguards must wear masks while they're on the deck, but not while they are on the stand.
So there's a bunch of minor, small things that we can put into place that just, when they add up, it makes it a safer place for our citizens and our staff.
Now, lifeguards are equipped with more protective equipment like gloves and hand sanitizer, and if they need to use life-saving efforts, lifeguards have access to a pocket mask to help limit the need for mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Now, if you are looking for a place to cool off in the pool, you won't have as many public options this summer, but we do have some options for you. Remember this, Greensboro City and Guilford County pools are closed, but some open ones include the Washington Terrace Pool in High Point, and in Winston-Salem there are 4 city pools that are open: Bolton, Kimberly Park, Polo, and Parkland. City pools in Winston-Salem and High Point are also closing more frequently for cleanings during the day. Be sure to look up opening times before you head out.
Well, it's a bit of a gloomy day across the Triad, but if you look at the temperature map, it is a little bit cooler. We're in the 80s in Greensboro and even in the 70s to the south of the Triad. And if you zoom out on our temperature map, you can really see the story there's 90s and upper 80s all around us. But we have something specific going on, and that is this upper level low pressure system that continues to spin just to the south of us, and that's kicking up the rain really into the southern portions of the Piedmont. So a lot of our area hasn't seen a drop of rain today, and they won't. The southern portions of the Piedmont, however, especially from Asheboro and points down to the southeast, are getting a nice healthy soaking of rain, which is good for yards and gardens and plants and those type of things. Tomorrow, it's going to be much more of the same setup, scattered showers and storms in the afternoon hours, but that chance does start to go down towards the end of the week as that upper level low pressure system starts to pull away from us. Lower 70s overnight. We'll be back in the mid 80s tomorrow afternoon, of course, watching for some of those scattered showers and storms.
Your most Googled and most FAQs, frequently asked questions about COVID. Hey, Maddie, I think it's common to use Google as a verb, right? Googled?
Absolutely. I Googled something. I'll Google that. I use the Google all the time.
The Google even. Okay, it is. And 2 wants to know is looking at what folks are Googling to get them answers. So, for instance, first up, is a headache a symptom of coronavirus? Well, Cone Health's infectious disease doctor Cynthia Snyder is our expert on this.
We do hear people having headaches, but it's usually in association with another symptom. So often, having fever with headache or sore throat with headache is probably a combination, and we see that happening.
All right, so that is one of 3 questions that we're answering today at 6 o'clock. See if the most Googled questions are in fact your questions. And today, 2 wants to know. One with North Carolina Attorney General Josh Stein. Text us your questions for him. The number is 336-379-5775. We're talking price gouging. We're talking robocalls. We're talking scams and business practices. Your questions get answered.
Hello, testing 1 2. We will try this again, my friends. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10.
We have Chilton. Welcome back, friend. We missed you.
I made it.
Welcome back to your 4 to 5. The sky is the limit for Daquan Lawless. He graduated 6th in his class at the Middle College at NCA&T with a 3.95 GPA. The honor student can go to any college, anywhere in the United States, but when your dream school comes calling, you go, no matter where it is. Daquan is headed to Parsons Paris in France, one of the best fashion schools in the world.
Parsons Paris is really like an art and fashion school, and I feel like they had the biggest opportunities for me, and I just didn't want to go to school in the United States.
So you have all this money to attend school in the US, and you're like, oh, forget it, I'm going to Paris.
Not all this money. I mean, I got some money from some schools, but Parsons Paris was like, they gave me money too, so it was like, I couldn't let it go.
As you can see, he spoke to the Good Morning Show's Tracy McCain. He is going to study strategic design, which is the business side of fashion, as mentioned in this congratulatory post on Twitter. Daquan told us he is ready to make the most out of this pretty cool opportunity.
Because everybody I tell, whether it be like a student or like a teacher or somebody, anybody I run into and tell them, it's like, oh, you sure about that? Like it's like something big, but it's really not that big if like you're prepared for it, or if you know you can do it. It's not that big of a deal.
Well, he takes off for France in September, delayed about a month because of COVID-19, but he is not wasting any time scoping out internships with some of the world's top fashion designers. Congratulations.
With the possibility of continuing online learning in the fall, teachers around the nation are looking for some creative ways to interact with their students, and Bitmojis are becoming popular tools.
It's the time of year when teachers start getting prepared for a school full of students. But this year, it's much different. Instead of unlocking a classroom, it's more of opening the computer.
So usually decorating that classroom, but this year I'm decorating my virtual classroom.
This is what second grade teacher Olivia Tapper is talking about. A virtual classroom is just like a regular one, but with a cartoon Bitmoji teacher and interactive lessons linked within a picture.
Students can click on pictures and books and baskets inside your little virtual classroom that'll like lead them to any kind of links or websites or their assignments or anything like that.
It's also the students can make a positive adjustment to the potential of online learning in the fall.
That's why we're doing the cutesy stuff, you know, to make it easy for your students. It's fun for us, but it's also like we always have your students' interests in mind.
Teachers all across the nation are doing the same thing, and they're sharing ideas in a Facebook group called Bitmoji Craze for Educators.
Post after post after post of people sharing all these different things they're doing in their virtual classrooms, and they're sharing it all for free.
While educators are still waiting on exact plans for what they need to prepare, teachers like Mrs. Tapper will be ready regardless.
My goal is I'm either prepared to be virtual, like totally virtual, or I'm prepared to really integrate the technology in my classroom if we're in person.
And what a great way to just, come down to where the kids are and showing them and learning them in a way that they will want to learn, I should say. I wish I had a Bitmoji when I was younger, just have like a little person around sitting next to me in class. That would have been great.
Yeah, I do think that this will help students connect because this is what they're used to seeing. They all have phones and tablets at this point. They probably have their own Bitmoji, as you said, Tahisha. So this is a way for teachers to connect with them. And then I love, she's like, hey, if we get to come back to school, I'll just integrate online learning a little bit into my classroom every day. Chilton, I can see your kids enjoying this too.
Yes. Oh, yeah. They'd love this. And, if that's where they live. So you got to kind of do that to keep them engaged. That's fine. I have a Bitmoji as well. It's just now I have to edit it and add gray to the hair. So other than that.
I have to edit mine because my hair's grown like 6 inches during this COVID-19 situation. I look completely different. Just kidding. I look the same. All right. We're heading to break. We'll be right back.
So Beth Spieler is an artist that not only invests in her art, but she invests in kids, our kids, all around the Triad. Her program is called Art About. It was put on hold recently due to COVID, but she'll be back in the next few weeks helping young artists all over the Triad, in particular in Forsyth County. Here's part of my conversation with an artist that deserves our attention. Take a look. Beth, thank you for taking time out today. I love your Art About program because you're always reaching out to kids and kind of helping them understand art. Talk a little bit about the program that you and I were chatting with before we started this interview.
Out of my studio in Winston-Salem, I teach several classes, and one is a preschool class, and then we also have a class for 3rd through 5th graders, and we have about 10 or 12 students that are regulars. And we take art walks and we explore different mediums to create art.
So really, you're teaching them how to see. I mean, art is around us all the time, but you're just opening their eyes to this.
Yes, it's important to allow children who may have the gift or the vision for art or the passion for art. It's important to validate that. So giving them opportunity and time and attention is really what they need to be able to continue and further their study in art or their love for art as they grow older.
Talk a little bit about what it feels like for you when you see that spark in a kid's mind or somebody that gets it or has a talent and how that makes you feel.
There's really nothing better. There is nothing better. And people may not realize, but you can see that spark in children as young as 4 years old. It really means a lot to me when someone comes to me and tells me that the way I've shared something about either color or value or line has really changed the way they've viewed every piece of art that they've made going forward.
This is great work you're doing, Beth. Keep it up. We're all saying thank you for people like you in the community.
I'll tell you what, guys, it's been a kind of a gloomy day across the Triad. Some folks have gotten rain, and some folks have also not gotten a drop at all. Really, it's all because of this upper level low pressure system that we have tracking to the northeast, staying really right along the coastline of North and South Carolina, and it will continue to lift to the northeast as we head over the next couple of days. So that does a couple of things for us. It not only pushes in humid air, our humidity is going to hang tough, although with extra clouds around, our temperatures will stay in the mid 80s. But it also gives us good chances for scattered showers and storms, not only today like we're seeing, but also again tomorrow, and then some on Thursday as well before it finally starts to pull away from us off to the northeast. Our rain chances will go down, but our temperatures will go back up heading towards the end of the week. And you can see kind of that spinning motion, and most of this rain, unlike it normally does, is moving from the east to the west. Normally it goes the other way around. Like I said, southern and southeastern portions of the Piedmont have seen rain today, while the Triad really hasn't seen a drop at all. And you can see where some of those heavier rain totals are in the southern portions of Randolph County, also Montgomery County as well, even an inch or more in some places along the southern portions of the Piedmont. And the temperature map also tells the story. In the mid-70s in Asheboro, upper 70s to near 80 in Greensboro, Winston, and High Point as well. As far as rain chances go, going to hang on to a 50% chance of rain for scattered showers and storms tomorrow, but it does start to go down as we head towards the end of the week, and then bumps back up a little bit for Saturday. Tonight, still going to be muggy, near 70 for the overnight low here in the Triad, and then some lower 70s and upper 60s back to the western counties and the foothills as well. For your Wednesday, a day much like today, starting out really with more clouds than sun. And of course, we'll watch for some scattered showers and storms in the afternoon and evening hours. Temperatures will top out in the lower and mid 80s for your Wednesday. But as those rain chances go down, our temperatures start to go back up, back to the upper 80s on Thursday. And I do think we'll be back to having 90-degree days again. 91 looks like a good chance for the high on Friday, and then 91 again on Saturday. But we do have a cold front that looks to cross our area as we head through the first part of the weekend. So we do have an increased chance to get some showers and storms on Saturday with that coming through. But then the second half of the weekend on Sunday, things look to stay mostly dry. But our temperatures are going to hang out in the upper 80s and close to 90, and the humidity is also going to hang tough, just very typical of early July.
Coming up on WFMY News 2 at 5 o'clock, Guilford County Schools got approval for 2 new virtual schools. We'll explain how you can sign up and how many students will be accepted. But first, we want to hear from you. What do you think the upcoming school year should look like? Should kids go back to the classroom, learn both in class and online, or keep learning online only? Go to our app or on WFMY.com/vote now to weigh in. Your thoughts next on WFMY News 2 at 5.